Alright, this is going to be the first video of Unit 6, and in this video we're going to review how to solve algebraic equations, and more specifically, one-step equations. And so, uh, starting with our first example here, we have y plus negative 4 equals negative 15. The first thing when we're solving equations, what we want to notice is we want to draw a line through this equal sign. And what that does is it really splits up uh, our both sides of our equation. We have one side over here and one side over here, and they're met in the middle by an equal sign. So even though these two sides look different, it's important for you to realize that they are equivalent. This is a balanced equation. We have to keep this equation balanced as we go through solving it. The way we're going to keep it balanced is by following pretty much what I like to call the golden rule of algebra, saying whatever we do to one side of the equation, we're going to do that exact same thing to the other side. So thinking in terms of like a scale or a balance, if I add or take away weight from this side of the scale, then I've got to take the exact same amount away from this side of the scale in order to keep it balanced. And so we're going to be doing that um, with equations as well. The whole goal of solving these equations is to isolate the variable. By the way, this is question 1, not 1y, so pay no attention to that. It's just y plus negative 4. Okay, so our goal is to isolate this y so that it's on this side of the equation all by itself. Right now, it's not by itself. Right now, we're adding a negative 4 to it. And so in order to get rid of it, we've got to do the opposite. Since it's adding a negative, we're going to subtract a negative 4. And remember, what we do to one side, we need to do the exact same thing to the other side. Okay, so negative 4 minus negative 4, well, when you minus the negative, we're adding the opposite. So it really makes this adding a positive. And then negative 4 plus positive 4 gives us 0. So you really get y plus 0 because we're going to bring the y straight down. And that's what's left on this side. And so when you get to thinking about it, y anything plus 0 is just whatever you started with. So really, we don't even need to write this because those in turn actually end up canceling out. So all we're left with is just this y on that side, which is good because our goal was to isolate y by itself on one side of the equation. Y is now isolated, so things are going good. Now we have a negative 15 plus 4. Negative 15 plus 4 is negative 11. And our equation then is y equals negative 11. Now we can double check this by taking the original formula and plugging in what we found for y into the original formula. So we found that negative 11, and if we did this correctly, we should find that negative 11 plus negative 4 equals negative 15. And indeed, it does. So that is true, and this problem checks out. Let's look at another problem. This one involves uh, division. We have 16 equals h divided by negative 4. Okay, so we're going to first draw our line down the center of this. And our goal, here's our variable, our goal is to isolate it. And so that means we've got to get rid of this negative 4. The way we're going to get rid of the negative 4 is by doing the opposite. Since when we look at the negative 4 in terms of its relationship to h, we notice that it's being divided by. So we're going to do the opposite, which is times both sides by negative 4. Okay, I'm going to write this down here. Okay, so we stretch this out. Negative 4, with the division here, it's like a fraction, so these are going to cross cancel. And again, we're left with just h all by itself, which is the whole purpose of solving equations, to isolate that variable. And then 16 times negative 4, if you need to use a calculator, go ahead. But what you should get is negative 64. And you should find out that h equals negative 64. Again, we can double check this by just writing our original equation out, but instead of writing h, we're going to delete that and we're going to plug in what we found h was, which is negative 64. when you type in negative 64 divided by 4, you do get 16. 16 does equal 16, so it checks out. Let's look at our next example. Okay, we have 114 equals negative d. 114 equals negative d. Now this one's kind of tricky because at first glance, you look at it and you say, well, it's already solved. D has to equal negative 4, or D has to equal 114. But it's not quite there. Because see, what we know right here is, since that negative is touching the variable, we know that it's actually negative 1d. So technically, this variable is not quite isolated. So we need to draw our line, and then we need to do the opposite. Since it's negative 1 times d, we're going to divide both by negative 1. Notice I use the fraction bar for our division. Negative 1 divided by negative 1 cancels, and again, now it's just d all by itself. Negative 114 divided by negative 1 would be negative 114. So even though we were close to being finished, technically it was not actually finished. Okay, let's look at this example right here. 13 plus m equals negative 42. So we look at our variable. It is not alone. Right now we have this 13 with it. We need to get rid of it. Because it's a positive 13, the way we get rid of positive 13 is we subtract 13. Whatever we do to one side, we've got to do the exact same thing to the other. These cancel. We're left with m equals negative 14 minus 13 is negative 55. Okay. I'm going to close this, kind of extend here. And let's look at our last example. Negative 5n equals 40. Well, obviously n is not isolated. Right now it has this negative 5 paired with it. It's negative 5 times n, so the way we're going to get rid of it is by dividing. Notice again I'm using the fraction bar for division. I'm not using this old-fashioned division sign. There's no need to. We're going to try to challenge ourselves here. Negative 5 divided by negative 5 cancels, and we're left with n equals 40 divided by negative 5, which is negative 8. So notice a couple things here. One, the first step was we split the equation into two equal halves. Then we tried to isolate the variable by doing what was the opposite. I hope this helps.